The gavel slammed down like a gunshot in the marbled courtroom of downtown L.A., sealing Alex Harrington's fate before he could even catch his breath. "You're married now, kid?" the judge drawled, his voice thick with the boredom of 1,000 such ceremonies, while Alex's heart hammered against the silk of his rented tuxedo. And just like that, the golden boy of Hollywood was bound to a stranger. A man whose calloused hand felt like sandpaper against his own. A man who smelled of desert dust and unspoken wars. A man Alex had never wanted until the ink dried and the world tilted on its axis. Alex Harrington had always been the heir apparent to the Harrington media empire, but in the cutthroat glamour of Tinseltown, they called him the Heiress with a wink and a smirk. A nod to his porcelain skin, his effortless charm that lit up red carpets, and the way he fluttered through parties like a moth drawn to the flashbulbs. At 28, he was the face of his family's streaming service, starring in rom-coms that made audiences swoon, while his tabloid life painted him as the eternal bachelor, dodging scandals with the grace of a dancer. But beneath the veneers and the velvet ropes, Alex was unraveling. His father, Victor Harrington, the silver-haired titan who'd built an empire on blockbusters and bottled dreams, was dying. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4, the kind that didn't give warnings or second acts. And Victor's final script? A merger with a rival studio that hinged on Alex playing the part of his life. A sham marriage to secure a military-themed production deal, tying the Harrington legacy to a network of veteran-owned content creators. It was archaic, it was desperate, and it was the only way to keep the lights on in the family empire. The contract had arrived on a Tuesday. Crisp vellum slipped into a black leather folder by Victor's lawyer, a shark named Harlan with eyes like polished onyx. "It's not love, Alex," Harlan had said over scotch in the penthouse office overlooking the Griffith Observatory. "It's leverage. The board needs stability, and this is the glue." The groom? Jake Harlan, no relation to the lawyer, thank God. A former Marine drill instructor turned private trainer for the elite, the kind of man who sculpted bodies for action stars and kept his own scars hidden under starched collars. Jake was 32, broad-shouldered and unyielding, with a buzz cut that spoke of discipline and green eyes that had seen too much sand and too little mercy in Fallujah. He'd been handpicked by the board for his clean record, his All-American appeal, and the fact that he owed Harlan a favor from some shadowy deployment favor trading. 1 year of marriage, a public facade, and then annulment with a fat check to make it all vanish like a bad take. Alex had signed without reading the fine print, his Mont Blanc pen scratching across the page like a betrayal. What choice did he have? Victor's hospital bed was a revolving door of specialists, and the stock tickers whispered of hostile takeovers. So there they were in that sterile courthouse off Wilshire Boulevard, exchanging vows that tasted like ash. "I, Alexander James Harrington, take you, Jacob Ellis Harlan, to honor and whatever," Alex muttered, his voice cracking on the edge of laughter or tears. He couldn't tell which. Jake's response was steady, a soldier's oath. "I do." No hesitation, no flourish, just duty. They emerged into the blinding California sun, paparazzi swarming like locusts, their flashes popping against the limo-tinted windows. Alex slid into the leather seat first, Jake following with the grace of a panther coiling for a leap. The door clicked shut, sealing them in a bubble of recycled air and awkward silence. Alex tugged at his cufflinks, diamonds glinting like tiny accusations. "Well, husband," he said, forcing a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "Welcome to the circus. First stop, family dinner at the Harrington estate. Try not to salute the caviar." Jake leaned back, his camo jacket swapped for a charcoal suit that strained against his chest, making him look like a wolf in sheep's clothing. He studied Alex with that unnerving intensity, the kind that stripped away scripts and spotlights. "I'm not here for the show, Harrington. I'm here because I gave my word. But if you think I'm saluting your fish eggs, you've got another thing coming." His voice was gravel wrapped in velvet, low and unhurried, carrying the faint twang of a Texas boy who'd traded boots for barracks. Alex felt it like a hook in his gut, something real in a world of filters and facades. The drive up Mulholland wound through canyons dotted with mansions that clung to the hills like jealous lovers. Alex filled the silence with chatter, rattling off escape clauses and NDAs, But Jake just nodded, his gaze drifting to the window where the city sprawled like a lover's promise. By the time they pulled into the gated drive of the Harrington estate, a sprawling modernist fortress of glass and steel overlooking the valley, Alex's palms were slick. Victor was waiting in the solarium, propped on silk pillows, his once imposing frame shrunken to a shadow. Nurses hovered like extras in a period drama, but Victor waved them off with a liver-spotted hand. "Son," Victor rasped, his voice a ghost of boardroom thunder. "You did it. Bring him here." Alex guided Jake forward, their arms brushing in a spark that neither acknowledged. Victor's eyes, sharp as ever, raked over Jake. "Harlan. Good stock. Marines, eh?" "My old man stormed Normandy. You'll do." Jake shook the offered hand firmly, no flinch. "Sir. Honored to meet you." "Alex speaks highly." Alex snorted, perching on the arm of Victor's chaise. "Lies. I called you a drill sergeant with a god complex." Victor chuckled, a wet rattle that ended in a cough. The room filled with the scent of lilies and morphine, heavy as regret. Dinner was a tense affair, crystal clinking against plates of seared ahi and heirloom tomatoes, the family lawyer droning about quarterly reports while Alex's mother, Elena, a faded starlet with Botox-smooth skin and eyes like shattered emeralds, probed Jake with questions wrapped in compliments. "Tell us, Jacob, what's a man like you doing tying the knot with our little prince? Hollywood's not exactly boot camp." Jake forked a bite of salad, chewing deliberately. "Ma'am, life's full of orders you don't question. This one's got purpose." His eyes flicked to Alex, holding just a beat too long, and something uncoiled in Alex's chest, a warmth he hadn't felt since his last audition callback. Elena arched a perfectly plucked brow, but Victor beamed, frail hand patting Alex's knee. "See? Solid. This merger's gold. You'll thank me when the credits roll." That night, in the guest wing of the estate, Alex paced the marble floors of his suite, the city lights twinkling mockingly beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. Jake had been given the room across the hall, a polite distance that felt like a chasm. Alex poured a tumbler of Victor's single malt, the amber liquid burning a path to his stomach. Marriage. To a man. Not that it mattered. Alex had known he was gay since 16, fumbling kisses in the backlit shadows with a grip who vanished after one tabloid whisper. But this was spectacle, a contract colder than any closet door. He drained the glass, the buzz loosening his tongue, and before he could second-guess, he knocked on Jake's door. It opened to Jake in a white tee and sweats, hair damp from a shower, the faint scent of soap mingling with something earthier, like pine after rain. "Can't sleep?" Jake asked, stepping aside without a word. The room was sparse. Jake's duffel on the bed, boots aligned like soldiers at attention. Alex flopped onto the armchair, legs dangling. "Nightmares about prenups. You? Plotting my morning PT." Jake chuckled, low and genuine, pouring water from a carafe. "Something like that. Sit rep? You're wired. Talk." Alex blinked. Sit rep? Military shorthand. It was endearing, this jargon armor. Words tumbled out then, unscripted. The pressure of legacy, the fear of losing Victor before forgiving him for every absent birthday, the loneliness of fame's gilded cage. Jake listened, perched on the bed's edge, his silence a bomb. When Alex trailed off, voice thick, Jake stood and crossed the room in 2 strides. "Hey," he said softly, tilting Alex's chin up with a finger scarred from barbed wire. "You're not alone in the foxhole anymore. That's the deal." Their eyes locked, and time fractured. Alex's breath hitched as Jake's thumb brushed his jaw, rough against smooth, a contrast that sent sparks skittering down his spine. It wasn't a kiss. Not yet. But the air thickened with possibility, charged like the moment before a storm breaks. Jake pulled back first, clearing his throat. "Get some rack time, Harrington. Dawn patrol tomorrow." Alex nodded, retreating to his room with cheeks aflame, the door clicking shut on a hunger he hadn't named. The weeks blurred into a montage of forced domesticity. Public appearances. Hand in hand at premieres, Jake's arm a steady anchor amid the velvet crush, his quiet strength drawing murmurs of "Who's the hunk?" from starlets and scribes alike. Private moments. Jake drilling Alex through sunrise runs along Runyon Canyon trails, his barked encouragements. "Move, princess. Enemies at your 6. Morphing into laughter as Alex collapsed in the dust, pulling Jake down with him. They shared meals and dived to carry us off sunset, Jake devouring carnitas while Alex picked at vegan tacos, trading stories. Jake's sandstorms in the sandbox, buddies lost to IEDs. The weight of a purple heart he never wore. Alex's child star additions, the sting of typecasting as the pretty one. The ache of loving in secret. It started small, these fissures in the facade. A brush of fingers over coffee, lingering. A shared glance across crowded rooms that said more than any line reading. Alex found himself canceling dates with interchangeable influencers, his phone lighting up with ghosts he ignored. Jake, too, softened, his walls cracking like desert earth after rain. One evening, after a grueling gym session where Jake spotted Alex's bench presses with hands that grazed his just so, they ended up on the Harrington pool deck, stars wheeling overhead, beers sweating in the heat. "You're not what I expected," Alex admitted, toes skimming the water's surface, ripples fanning out like unspoken confessions. Jake stretched out beside him, shirt riding up to reveal a tattoo of dog tags etched with a fallen friend's name. "Ditto, Hollywood. Thought you'd be all flash, no fire. But you've got grit." Their shoulders touched, and neither moved. The night hummed with crickets and distant traffic, a fragile peace. Alex turned, their faces inches apart, lips parting on a question he didn't voice. Jake's eyes darkened, hand rising to cup Alex's neck, thumb tracing the pulse point that fluttered like a trapped bird. Then, the gate buzzer shattered it. A delivery from the studio, scripts and contracts that demanded signatures by dawn. Duty called, as always. But as Alex rose, Jake's grip tightened fractionally. "This isn't just paper anymore," Jake murmured, voice rough. Alex nodded, heart pounding. "No, it's not." Little did they know, the real script was just beginning to unspool. The merger announcement hit like a blockbuster trailer. Splashy billboards along the 101, TMZ headlines screaming, "Harrington Airweds Warrior? Love or Legacy?" Alex and Jake posed for the cover of Variety. Alex's smile camera ready, Jake's a touch too stoic, but the chemistry crackled through the glossies. Victor, from his hospice suite now, watched the coverage on a wall of screens. His nod of approval the closest thing to absolution Alex had ever gotten. "They're buying it," Victor wheezed over FaceTime. Elena fluffing his pillows in the background. "The board's eating from your hand, son. Keep it up." But keeping it up was harder in the quiet hours, when the spotlight dimmed and the estate's halls echoed with ghosts. Alex threw himself into production, a gritty war drama co-financed by the merger, where he'd play a conflicted officer, channeling Jake's stories into every line. Jake, meanwhile, took on clients. A-list actors prepping for superhero suits, their egos as inflated as their biceps. He moved into Alex's West Hollywood bungalow officially, their lives intertwining like vines on a trellis. Mornings, Jake's protein shakes clashing with Alex's oat lattes in the kitchen. Evenings, movie nights on the sectional, Jake's head on Alex's thigh, fingers absently tracing patterns on denim. It was during one such night, rain lashing the windows like judgment, that the first real crack appeared. They were midway through the Hurt Locker, Jake's pick, when his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He silenced it, but Alex caught the flicker in his eyes, a shadow crossing that rugged face. "Everything good?" Alex asked, pausing the film, the explosion on screen frozen in amber light. Jake shifted, putting distance between them. "Yeah." Old CO checking in. But his voice was clipped, the easy rhythm gone. Alex pressed, because that's what lovers do, or whatever they were dancing toward. "You sure?" Looked like bad news. Jake stood abruptly, pacing to the window, rain streaking the glass like tears. "Drop it, Alex. Some things don't translate to civilian life." The word civilian landed like a slap. Alex rose, closing the gap. "Hey, I'm not some frag grenade you toss aside. If we're doing this, whatever this is, talk to me. Jake's jaw clenched, muscles ticking under stubble. For a moment, Alex thought he'd bolt. But then Jake deflated, shoulders slumping. It's Riley, my spotter in Iraq. We had something. Before Don't Ask Don't Tell went away. But it was there, buried deep. He shipped out again last month, and now, he's MIA. Presumed captured. The confession hung heavy, the rain a mournful underscore. Alex's heart twisted. Not jealousy, not exactly, but a pang for the man who'd carried that weight alone for so long. He pulled Jake into an embrace, strong arms wrapping around the unyielding frame. I'm sorry. God, Jake, I can't imagine. Jake stiffened at first, then melted, face burying in Alex's neck, breath hot and ragged. I thought I left it all behind. The sand, the secrets. But it follows you. They stood like that until the storm eased. Jake's hands fisting in Alex's shirt as if anchoring to shore. When they pulled apart, eyes red-rimmed, Jake cupped Alex's face. You're different. You see me, not the uniform. Their kiss was inevitable then. Slow, tentative, lips brushing like a question answered. Jake tasted of salt and regret, Alex of hope and hunger. It deepened, hands roaming with a reverence that spoke of new territory, mapping scars and sighs. They broke apart breathless, foreheads pressed. This is real, Alex whispered. Jake nodded, thumb stroking his cheek. As real as it gets. From there, the world shifted. Stolen moments bloomed into something tender. Jake teaching Alex to shoot at a private range in the hills. The recoil a thrill that ended in laughter and dust-smeared kisses. Alex dragging Jake to a queer film festival in Silver Lake, where they held hands unapologetically, Jake's thumb circling Alex's knuckles like a talisman. Victor noticed, his calls laced with gruff approval. Harlan's good for you, boy. Keeps that fire lit. Elena, ever the socialite, hosted brunches where she cooed over you two lovebirds, her eyes missing nothing. But Hollywood's underbelly doesn't stay buried. Whispers started in casting sessions. Rumors of a rival producer, Marcus Hale, sniffing around the merger, his firm a viper poised to strike if Victor's health faltered. Hale was old money, older grudges. He'd clashed with Victor decades ago over a stolen script that birthed a franchise. Now, with shares dipping, Hale's camp circled like sharks. Alex dismissed it at first, focused on Jake. The way he'd wake to Jake's quiet humming in the kitchen, flipping pancakes with military precision, or how Jake's laugh rumbled like thunder during late-night drives to Malibu, windows down, wind whipping their hair. The conflict ignited on a sweltering July afternoon, Alex fresh from a table read, Jake from a client session with a method actor who demanded authentic PTSD vibes. They met at their favorite spot, a hidden overlook off the Pacific Coast Highway, where waves crashed against cliffs like applause. Alex arrived first, script in hand, but his lines blurred as Jake pulled up in his battered Jeep, face storm-dark. We need to talk, Jake said, killing the engine, his voice edged with something brittle. Alex's stomach dropped. What's wrong? Client drama? Jake shook his head, pulling a folded paper from his glove box. A tabloid printout, headline screaming Harrington's hunky hubby. Secret past exposed? Grainy photos. Jake in fatigues, arm around a younger man in desert camo. Riley, Alex realized with a gut punch. The article speculated wildly. Was the trainer's battlefield bromance more than brotherhood? Sources say yes. It's bullshit, Jake growled, crumpling it. Sensationalist crap. But Harlan, the lawyer, called. Says the board spooked. Image risk. Alex snatched the paper, scanning the poison. This is Hale. Has to be. Leaking dirt to tank us. Anger flared hot. But beneath it, doubt slithered. Riley's ghost. Tangible now. Did you? With him? Like us? Jake's eyes flashed. What do you want me to say, Alex? That I loved him? Yeah. In the way you love when tomorrow's not promised. But he's gone, maybe forever, and you're here. This is now. The words stung, raw as open wounds. Alex paced the overlook, wind tearing at his shirt. Now? Our now is built on a lie. Contract. And if this blows up, it takes Victor down with it. Jake grabbed his arm, spinning him. It's not a lie anymore. Not to me. Their faces were inches apart, breaths mingling with salt air. Alex searched those green depths, seeing the boy from Texas who'd enlisted to escape a broken home. The man who'd survived hell only to guard his heart like a bunker. Prove it, Alex challenged, voice breaking. Jake did, crashing their mouths together in a kiss fierce as the sea below. All teeth and desperation, hands clutching like lifelines. They sank to the Jeep's tailgate, the world narrowing to touches that healed and hurt in equal measure. But proof wasn't enough for the vultures. That night, Harlan summoned them to the office, face grim as a eulogy. Hale's pushing a vote. Claims the marriage is fraudulent. Cites moral clauses. We need airtight PR charity gala next week. Smile, pose, sell the fairy tale. Alex nodded numbly, but Jake's silence was thunderous. In the elevator down, he muttered, "This cage is tightening, Alex. How long before it snaps?" Alex leaned into him, seeking solidity. As long as it takes. For Victor. For us. But as the doors opened to the neon-veined streets, Alex wondered if love could rewrite a script written in blood and boardroom ink. The gala loomed like a guillotine, black-tie opulence at the Dolby Theater, where stars glittered under chandeliers like fallen constellations. Alex in bespoke Tom Ford, Jake in a tux that hugged his frame like a second skin. They entered arm in arm, flashes blinding. Elena air-kissed cheeks, Victor beaming via video link on the Jumbotron. Toasts flowed, to mergers, to matrimony, to the Harrington legacy reborn. Jake played his part, charming execs with tales of boot camp bonding, but his hand on Alex's back burned with tension. Midway through, as string quartets wove through the crowd, Marcus Hale slithered up, silver fox with a predator's grin, champagne flute in hand. Alexander, darling, and the soldier bridegroom, quite the coup. His eyes lingered on Jake, appraising. Heard whispers about your service record. Tragic losses. Jake's grip tightened, knuckles white. Alex stepped forward, smile ablade. Marcus, still peddling yesterday's scandals? We've got tomorrow's hits. Hale chuckled, oily. Tomorrow's fickle. One wrong cut and the real jams. He vanished into the throng, but the threat lingered like smoke. Later, on the balcony overlooking Hollywood Boulevard, Jake lit a rare cigarette, the cherry glowing like a warning flare. That man's poison. What's his play? Alex sighed. The city's hum a distant roar. Revenge. Dad crossed him years ago. Stole a project that made us billions. Now, with Victor sick, he trailed off, Jake stubbing the smoke, pulling him close. We'll fight it. Together. Their kiss was soft this time, a vow against the void. But as fireworks burst for the finale, Alex's phone vibrated. A text from an unknown number. Ask your hubby about the real Riley. Not all heroes come home clean. Doubt crept in like fog off the Pacific. That night, in the bungalow's king bed, bodies entwined in the afterglow of whispered promises. Alex lay awake, Jake's snores steady beside him. Love was a battlefield, it seemed, and the first casualty was trust. The text burned a hole in Alex's phone, anonymous and venomous, but it festered like an untreated wound. He didn't confront Jake, not yet. Instead, he buried it under script revisions and studio notes. The war drama's filming ramping up in a dusty warehouse lot outside Burbank, standing in for Baghdad's labyrinthine streets. Alex threw himself into the role, method acting the officer's torment. Barking orders by day, unraveling by night. Jake was there, consulting on authenticity, choreographing fight scenes with the precision of a sniper, his voice a steady cadence amid the chaos. Keep your flank covered, Harrington, he'd say, adjusting Alex's prop vest, fingers lingering on collarbones. It was their ritual, a tether in the frenzy. But the whispers amplified. Paparazzi caught Jake at a VA support group in Echo Park, speculation swirling. Grieving groom or guilty conscience? Elena called, voice laced with martini slurs. Darling, the blogs are vicious. Hale's feeding them. Do damage control. Post a cozy pic, something domestic. Alex obliged, snapping Jake mid-laugh over breakfast burritos, captioning morning maneuvers with my MVP husband goals. Likes poured in, but so did the trolls. Fake as his abs and Riley's rolling in his grave. Victor's decline accelerated. A cruel accelerando. Alex visited daily. The hospice room a sterile cocoon of beeps and wilted flowers. Proud of you, kid, Victor murmured one afternoon, oxygen mask fogging his words. You and Harlan. It's the real deal. Don't let the suits tell you different. Alex squeezed his hand, fighting tears. It's solid, Dad. Promise. But as he left, the anonymous texts escalated. Riley didn't die a hero. Ask about the discharge papers. Then a link, scan docs, redacted but damning. Jake's honorable discharge, buried notes on conduct unbecoming. A vague reference to an incident in theater. Alex's world tilted. That evening, he waited in the bungalow's living room, bourbon in hand, the documents printed and splayed on the coffee table like evidence in a trial. Jake walked in whistling, gym bag slung over shoulder, but froze at the sight. What the hell is this? He demanded, dropping the bag, eyes narrowing on the papers. Alex stood, voice steady despite the quake inside. You tell me, Riley, the bromance. And this? Some cover-up? Jake snatched a page, scanning, face paling to ash. Where'd you get this? Alex thrust his phone forward, the text glaring. Doesn't matter. What matters is truth, Jake. If we're building something, no more foxholes. Jake sank onto the couch, head in hands. The silence stretched, taut as a tripwire. When he spoke, it was a confession carved from bone. Fallujah '09. Riley and I, we were tight, saved each other's asses a dozen times. One night, after a op went south 3 Kia, we cracked a bottle of bootleg whiskey in the hooch. Things happened. Heat of the moment, adrenaline crash. Dontask era. It was suicide to admit it. Brass got wind, anonymous tip, probably some jarhead with a grudge. They buried it as stress disorder, pushed the discharge to make it quiet. Riley stayed in, rotated out. Last I heard, he was fine. Until now. Alex's throat tightened, pieces slotting into betrayal's mosaic. You lied. About the past, about being clean. Jake surged up, green eyes blazing. I didn't lie, I survived. You think I wanted that ghost haunting us? It was over, Alex. You're mine now. But the hurt was a live wire, sparking. You're now, or your convenient cover. The merger, the marriage. Did Hale dig this up? Or did you know it'd surface? Jake recoiled as if struck. You think I'd sabotage? After everything. The argument escalated. Words like shrapnel. Alex accusing Jake of using the contract as escape from his demons. Jake hurling back that Alex's empire was a gilded trap. Their love just another scene to direct. A vase shattered against the wall. Alex's throw, regret instant. Jake grabbed his duffel, storming out into the night. I need air. Don't follow. The door slammed, echoing like finality. Alex collapsed, sobs racking him. The bungalow vast and empty. He drove to the hospice at dawn. Victor's room dim with pre-op light. Trouble in paradise? Victor guessed, astute even in frailty. Alex spilled it all, texts, docs, the fight, voice fracturing. Victor listened, then beckoned him close. Son, empires aren't built on perfection. They're forged in fire. Harlan's a good man, flawed, like us. Fight for it, or lose more than stocks. Re-energized, Alex tracked Jake to the VA center, bursting into the group session mid-share. Heads turned, but Jake just stared, hollow-eyed. We need to talk. Now. Outside, under jacaranda blooms shedding purple rain. Alex laid it bare. I was scared of losing you to ghosts, but you're not a contract anymore. You're home. Jake's walls crumbled, tears carving tracks down dust-streaked cheeks. I can't lose you to Riley. If he's out there, I need to know. For closure. Alex nodded, sealing it with a kiss salt-tinged and fierce. Then we find him. Together. Their pact ignited action. Jake pulled strings, old marine networks, satellite pings through a buddy at CENTCOM. Days blurred. Alex dodging paparazzi with decoy dates. Jake holed up in coffee shops with encrypted calls. Hale's pressure mounted. A board meeting called Votes Swaying. Elena hosted a unity dinner, tense as a minefield, where Marcus appeared uninvited, toasting with veiled barbs. To buried secrets, he sneered. Jake's fist clenched under the table, but Alex's foot nudged his. A silent stand down. Breakthrough came mid-filming, a rap party raging at the lot. Jake's phone lit up. Coordinates from a fixer in Qatar. Riley, alive, held by insurgents for ransom, low profile but leverage gold. He's in a camp near Aleppo, Jake breathed, pulling Alex into a prop tent. Away from the din. Us won't touch it. Too hot. But I can. With the right team. Alex's blood ran cold. No. You're not going rogue. Jake's grin was wolfish. Not rogue. Official through your merger channels. Veteran ops funding. We spin it PR gold. It was madness, brilliance. Alex greenlit it via backdoor board access. Elena lobbying allies with socialite steel. But Hale intercepted. Leaking Riley's plight to military blogs. Twisting it. Harrington's sham links to scandal? The board panicked. Victor's proxy vote barely holding the line. Climax brewed at the emergency summit. Hale's conference room in Century City. Skyline mocking their turmoil. Alex and Jake arrived united, hands clasped. Pull the plug, Hale demanded. Dossiers on the table. Jake's full file. Riley's captivity splashed like tabloid fodder. Or this goes nuclear. Jake stepped forward, voice thunder. You think threats scare me? I've stared down worse than your ink-slinging. This marriage, real as the blood I've spilled. And Riley, family. You touch him, you touch us. Alex amplified. The merger stands. Or we go public, your dirty tricks, your grudge-fueled games. America's watching, Marcus. Choose heroes over history. Hale blanched. Bluff called. The vote swung, merger locked. But victory soured hours later. Jake's team mobilized. Extraction greenlit. At LAX tarmac. Pre-dawn. Alex clung to him, wind whipping. Come back. Jake's kiss was armor. Count on it. Love you, Hollywood. The jet roared away, leaving Alex adrift. Days stretched eternal. Alex filming final takes with hollow eyes, Victor slipping into coma. Elena held the fort, her facade cracking in private. Then the call. Jake's voice. Ragged. We're out. Riley's safe. But complications. Gunfire echoed faintly, then static. Alex's world imploded. Racing to the hospital where Victor flatlined just as Jake's plane touched down. Dual grief. Father gone, husband wounded. Shrapnel in the thigh, but alive. Riley, gaunt and grateful, wheeled in beside him. Their reunion a quiet bomb. In the aftermath, Hale slunk away, empire intact but soul scarred. Alex and Jake, bandaged in body and heart, stood at Victor's graveside in the Hollywood Hills, earth redolent of sage. He'd approve, Alex whispered. Jake squeezed his hand. Damn right. The funeral was a spectacle masked as solemnity. Black-clad A-listers winding up the cemetery paths, eulogies scripted by publicists but delivered with raw edges. Victor Harrington went out as he lived center stage, his casket draped in a Harrington Studios flag, custom embroidered with film reels and olive branches. Alex stood ramrod straight beside Jake, the latter's limp hidden under slacks, Riley a silent sentinel in the row behind, his presence a bridge between past and present. Elena clutched Alex's arm, diamonds winking through tears, her whisper fierce. He was proud, darling, of this. She nodded to Jake, who met her gaze with a nod of his own. Family, forged in fire. In the weeks that followed, the empire steadied. The merger bloomed. Jake's veteran network infusing authenticity into the war drama, which wrapped with buzz that promised Oscars. Riley, recovering in a VA rehab overlooking the Santa Monica Pier, became an unlikely ally, consulting on set, his dry humor an echo of Jake's. No romance lingered there. Time and trials had cauterized old wounds. Instead, he ribbed Jake mercilessly. "You traded foxholes for fairy tales, Harlan?" "Soft." Jake's retort, always with a grin. "Best foxhole I ever found." Alex and Jake's life settled into a rhythm both ordinary and extraordinary. Mornings in the bungalow. Jake's crutches abandoned for a cane. Alex brewing coffee strong enough to strip paint. They adopted a rescue mutt from the shelter, a scruffy terrier named Scout, who claimed Jake's lap during script reads. Evenings. Drives to the observatory. Telescopes pointed at stars that reminded Jake of desert nights. Alex's head on his shoulder, talking futures unscripted. Kids. Alex mused one twilight, fingers laced. Jake chuckled. Surrogacy, maybe. Or just this, us. The chaos. Alex smiled, content. Sold. Betrayal's shadow lingered. Though, in therapy sessions Jake insisted on. Group circles where he unpacked the discharge. The guilt over Riley. The fear of loving openly. Alex joined once, vulnerable under fluorescent hum. I almost lost him to my doubts. Legacy's nothing without heart. The group nodded, stories weaving a tapestry of survival. Hale faded to irrelevance. His firm absorbed in a quieter deal. Karma's subtle script. Climax echoed in subtler waves. A premiere for the film, Echoes of Sand, where Alex's performance, raw, channeled from Jake's truths, drew standing ovations. Backstage, Jake pulled him into a wing alcove, kiss-hungry amid confetti. You were brilliant, my officer. Alex laughed, breathless. Your lines, soldier. But the real peak came unannounced. Riley's proposal to a nurse he'd met in rehab. A quiet ceremony on the pier at sunset. Jake as best man, Alex officiating with a borrowed license. Vows exchanged under gull cries, a circle closed. Yet, humanity's arc bends toward reflection. One crisp autumn eve, leaves turning in the canyons, Alex and Jake hiked Runyon's Fire Road. Their first trail, now a pilgrimage. At the summit, city sprawling below like a promise kept, Jake dropped to one knee. Not with a ring, too cliché, but a simple titanium band, etched with coordinates. Their overlook, that fateful highway kiss. No contracts this time, he said, voice thick. Just forever. Marry me. For real. Tears blurred Alex's view, joy a tidal wave. Yes, God yes. They slipped the band on, sealing it with a kiss that tasted of salt and stars. Below, Hollywood churned. Additions, deals, dreams deferred and delivered. Above, the sky vast, indifferent witness. In the end, it wasn't triumph or tragedy, but grace. Two men, scarred and shining, choosing each other amid the ruins. Victor's empire endured, but their legacy? A love unscripted, unbreakable. As they descended the trail, hands entwined, Scout bounding ahead, Alex glanced at Jake. Fell first, huh? Jake smirked, pulling him close. Damn right, and I'd fall again. The sun dipped, painting the world gold, a Hollywood ending after all.